there's a mysterious group of islands located in the furthest reaches of our planet that may be among the most contaminated places on Earth. These are the islands where the Soviet Union detonated the most powerful nuclear weapon in human history. A bomb so massive it could be seen from space, felt in Finland, and it broke windows in Norway hundreds of miles away. It's a place where they conducted 224 nuclear tests over 35 years, fundamentally altering the geography of this entire region. This is Novaya Zemlya, meaning new land in Russia. But there's nothing new about what lies buried in this permafrost and carved into its bedrock. This Arctic archipelago became the Soviet Union's primary nuclear testing ground, where geography and nuclear physics collided to create something unprecedented in human history. So today, we're exploring one of the most forbidding and fascinating landscapes on our planet. And as always, this is Ali, and welcome back to Urban Atlas. The indigenous people of Novaya Zemlya were the Nenets people. Based on historical records from 1872 to 1950, Novaya Zemlya was home to about 50 to 300 Nenet people. In the 1870s, many Nenet families were actually relocated to Novaya Zemlya from other parts of the Russian Empire. This was done to increase the population of these islands and to help colonize this as part of the Russian Empire. The population peaked in 2002 with a population of 2,716 residents. As of 2021, the population of Novaya Zemlya had dropped to 2,302 residents. The largest settlement on Novaya Zemlya is that of Belushia, Kuba, which acts as the administrative center of Novaya Zemlya. The second largest settlement is that of Rogashivo. The population consists mainly of researchers and military personnel. The vast majority of the population of Novaya Zemlya reside on the southern Yuzhny Island, while the northern Severny Island sits practically empty. Now, to understand when Novaya Zemlya became ground zero for the nuclear age, you first need to grasp just how enormous and isolated this place really is. We're looking at two massive islands stretching 900 kilometers from end to end, longer than the entire state of Florida, covering an area the size of South Carolina. The backbone of Novaya Zemlya is its mountain range. Its ancient Paleozoic peaks rise up to 1,547 meters above sea level, connected to the Ural mountain system. And these mountains run like a spine down both islands, creating a natural barrier between the Barents Sea to the west and the Kara Sea to the east. But what makes this place truly unique is the ice. You see, the northern island contains over 20,000 square kilometers of glaciers, some over 400 meters thick, taller than the Empire State Building, made entirely of compressed ice. And the coastline, well, it's a masterpiece of glacial carving. Over 4,000 kilometers of intricate fjords, bays, and inlets. The only navigable passage between the two islands is the Matochkin Strait, which is less than a kilometer wide in some sections. And this geography created the perfect isolation, surrounded by seas that freeze for 8 to 9 months annually, with pack ice extending hundreds of kilometers in all directions. Novaya Zemlya became perfectly suited for nuclear testing. In addition, beneath the glaciers lies continuous permafrost extending 400 to 600 meters deep, permanent frozen ground that provided natural containment for underground nuclear testing. The bedrock consists primarily of Precambrian metamorphic rocks and Paleozoic sedimentary formations, creating stable geological conditions perfect for both surface and subsurface nuclear detonations. And because of this geography, Soviet planners identified this as uniquely suited for nuclear testing. The Matochkin Shar Strait, cutting between the two islands, created a natural wind tunnel that would disperse radioactive fallout over the Arctic Ocean. And the mountainous terrain, well, that provided natural blast shields, while the deep fjords created protected harbors for supply ships during the brief summer navigation season. Novaya Zemlya's geography was truly unique for nuclear testing because of its combination of features found nowhere else: massive scale for safety distances, stable bedrock for underground tests, and natural wind patterns for fallout dispersal. Moreover, Novaya Zemlya had sea access for logistics and mountain barriers for blast containment. And thus, in 1954, Soviet planners identified specific zones for nuclear testing, The northern site at Sukhoi Nos would handle atmospheric tests, and the southern site near Matochkin Shar Strait was designated for underground testing. Each location was chosen based on precise geographic analysis to maximize scientific value while minimizing risk to populated areas. And what these researchers built was staggering. The Rogashivo airbase required blasting through 400 meters of permafrost to create a 2,500-meter runway, and every building had to be specially designed to prevent heat from melting the underlying permafrost ice. Port facilities, underground test chambers were all blasted deep into the soil. So between 1955 and 1990, nuclear tests were conducted at over 40 different locations across both islands. The variety was unprecedented. Atmospheric tests from small tactical devices under 1 kiloton to massive 50 megaton hydrogen bombs. But by far the most devastating test was done on October 30th of 1961. On this day, the unique geography of Novaya Zemlya would interact with the most powerful nuclear weapon ever detonated to create effects that exceeded every scientific prediction. Meet the Zar Bomba, 50 megatons of destructive power. It was tested at Sukhoi Nos Bay, chosen for maximum isolation, over 800 kilometers from any populated areas, with mountains providing natural barriers and open Arctic Ocean to absorb the blast effects. The bomb itself was massive, 8 meters long, 2 meters in diameter, and weighing 27 tons. So large, it required a specially modified bomber with its bomb bay doors removed, painted white to reflect thermal radiation. At 11:32 a.m. Moscow time, the weapon detonated 4,200 meters above the frozen landscape. The fireball measured 8 kilometers in diameter, large enough to engulf Manhattan, from the financial district to Central Park. The mushroom cloud rose 64 kilometers high, 7 times taller than Mount Everest, with the top 95 kilometers wide. The blast wave circled the globe 3 times, the first one taking 36 hours to do so. While the flare was visible at a distance of more than 1,000 kilometers, it was observed in Greenland and all the way in Alaska. The Zar Bomba was just the most dramatic chapter. You see, over 35 years during the Cold War, 224 nuclear tests permanently rewrote the geography of these islands. This means Novaya Zemlya represents the most geographically extensive nuclear testing program in history. And while Nevada's test site conducted more individual tests, they were concentrated in a smaller area, and no other location matches the scale and variety of terrain permanently altered by nuclear testing. Today, Novaya Zemlya exists in a strange limbo between its nuclear past and an uncertain future. You see, these islands are located in one of Russia's most sensitive military zones. The Rogashivo airbase has been dramatically modernized since 2010, transforming from a Cold War relic into a cutting-edge Arctic military facility. The base now serves as Russia's northernmost early warning station and a key logistics hub for Arctic operations. The current population hovers around 2,300 people, primarily military personnel, meteorologists, and researchers. Access remains strictly controlled. All visitors require special permits from Russian military, and most of the archipelago, especially the former test sites, remain completely off-limits. Even Russian scientists studying climate change effects are restricted to designated research zones. And thus, Novaya Zemlya today represents a fascinating geographic paradox, an example of what happens when human ambition goes too far. Across thousands of square kilometers, Novaya Zemlya stands as humanity's most dramatic experiment. And for all of those that are still watching, thanks for joining me in exploring this remarkable intersection of nuclear history and Arctic geography. And as always, if you like content like this, remember to give this video a like, subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already, and let me know in the comments below what other locations or cities you'd like me to explore. And as always, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.